All right, so since we're talking about list builders, as you can see, we're back with the list builder. Let's have a talk about doing some historical lists. I made earlier a 600 point battleship list. Let's have a look at the Battle of the Falkland Islands and see if we can make that a little bit fairer, because obviously, historically, it wasn't very fair. Two Invincibles versus the two Skarnhorst was never going to be a fair fight, but that's war. Um, and that was just the nature of the history and the way it worked out. We can go back and have a look at Coronel. That wasn't a fair fight either. Um, but we'll do those lists, and we can leave the discussions about what's fair in love and war and what's not to chat rooms. Okay, so let's start with Royal Navy. And so the objective of the game here is to have a historical game, the Battle of the Falkland Islands, and we'll see if we can get it to be a little bit more fair than it was. You know. Okay, so battle cruisers. Obviously, the Invincibles were there, but we're only going to add in one. Obviously, this is obviously in which case a what if scenario. There was a Monmouth there. There were two, in fact, and there was also a Devonshire. But we're just going to add in just one of the Monmouth, which leaves us then free to add in both of the Bristols. It was Glasgow and Bristol that were there. Bristol, Glasgow. All right. So I did that very, very quickly. Oh, excuse me. As you can see, there is a smattering of the ships that there were there. So there was obviously the Canopus, Canopus. She was run aground and she was just shooting her guns. So she doesn't come out to play. So we're going to leave her out. There was another Invincible class, there was a Devonshire class, and another Monmouth. And for the sake of having a fair battle of Falkland Islands, we are not going to add them. What does the points work out to be? I'll just move the iPad. There we go. So 217 of 400. Obviously, we haven't clicked over the 400, so it's saying we're building a raiding fleet at 400 points, which is fair because that's kind of what we're doing. All right, so that's the British side. Um, Feel free to experiment. I've chosen those ships. You don't have to. Um, those are the only light cruisers involved. So it's really sort of the only freedom we have to muck around with the points. Now I'm aiming for to match what the Germans have, and I already know that. Spoiler alert. Okay, so now how do we get to the Germans now? How do we get, now that we've made this list? I can obviously save this list, which I have already done, but if I want to save it, I need to log in, and as you can see, there is no option for me to save at the moment because I haven't logged in. Um, so you save it, and then in order to get back to creating another list, you click on the broadside Empires of Steel logo at the top. Ta-da! Alright, we have found ourselves back at the selection screen, and I'm now going to choose the German side. Alright, so we're going straight to armoured cruisers because this is a raiding fleet. We're not going to have battleships and we're not going to have battle cruisers. And I want you to watch what happens to those options when we add the Skarnhorst and the Gneisenau. Yep, the battleship and battle cruisers have a line through them. You can't select them now. Well, you can, but you shouldn't select them because it will make your list illegal, and there will be some alerts coming up. Obviously, so we haven't added anything else in the screens. Alright, moving on. So we need to now add in the other ships that were there for the Germans. Those, of course, were the Leipzig, Dresden, and Nuremberg. Alright, so, sorry, bumped the camera. Let's start with Dresden, and there she is. We'll find Leipzig under the Bremen class. And then she's Königsberg 1905 for the Nuremberg. Alrighty, so there we go. This is the actual force that was there at the Battle of Falklands and Coronel. They had coalers with them, but obviously those are non-combatant ships. There we have it. Alright, so now what does that work out for the KM? Alright then, so 205, so that's a difference of 12 points. which means you can add in two upgrade cards. I would be adding in the ability for the Skarnhorst and Gneisenau to concentrate their fire on Invincible. Now, we've played this game a couple of times. It's really tons of fun. It doesn't take anywhere near as long as any of the other battles because it's so small. It's half the size of what we recommend, for a game, but it's fun doing history. And the Skarnhorst and the Gneisenau being able to concentrate their fire on Invincible. We've had quite a few upsets where the Royal Navy have lost. Because it's all or nothing. The Invincible brings in those guns or it doesn't. And if the Invincible brings in the guns on the Skarnhorst and Gneisenau and they survive, you simply change to evasive action, shake the target lock, and then the Royal Navy player has to start doing it all over again. And leaves it it leaves it down then to the Monmouth and to the two light cruisers to come in there and to make things difficult for the armored cruisers. And also, the Monmouth's a very, very good torpedo platform as well with its torpedo room. And there you go. So that's both sides. So if you give the Skarnhorst and the Gneisenau those two upgrade cards that allow them to concentrate their fire, that gives them a bonus 10 points. So you're only giving away 2 points to the Royal Navy, and that's as fair as you can get for the Battle of Falkland Islands. And as I say, we've played it a few times. It really is a lot of fun. Give it a go. And on camera now are the two ship cards that I'm talking about. These are upgrade cards. So if you're playing a game where one player has more points than the other, then you can use these upgrade cards to even up the points. That's the two I'm talking about, coordinated firing. Put that on Skarnhorst and coordinating firing. The other one goes on the Gneisenau, and they ignore each other's ranging in tokens. And there's the back of the card as well, upgrade card. This deck is available physically from our eBay store, but you will get it with the Kickstarter if you back the Titanic pack, and it comes with the campaign book and all the extra campaigny stuff as well. But yeah, so that's it. So if you've got, say for example, you're playing a 600 point list, and you've got personally 595 points, and your opponent has 600 points. Well, that then allows you to use one of these cards. If the differential is 10 points, well then you can then use both of these cards, and there are some 10-point cards in there as well. The ship upgrade cards, you can see it's at the bottom there, it says ship upgrade. Those are permanent, they stay on the ship all of the time. And in the deck there are other cards that have the word tactic. Here's a tactic card. That's a 6 to 10 point one. So if your opponent has 6 more points than you, then you can include this. And if they have 10 points, you can include this. And then once you use it, it's discarded. It's only a once per game thing. It's not necessarily played on a ship either. It's whereas these have to be on a ship at the beginning of the game. Your opponent has to know that you have them. All right, there you go. So that's to make the Falkland Islands a bit more of an even fight. It's a bit more fun for both players. Yeah, with the entire Royal Navy fleet as it appeared, really it is a hopeless fight as it was historically. This is a way of just making it a little bit more fun and a little bit more even, and changing the outcome a little bit too. As I said, we've had quite a few upsets where the Skarnhorst and Gneisenau have turned the tables on history. And it's a great one to introduce your friends to the game with, and it's a good one for shows too if you're doing demos and going to a convention and want to show some broadside ships off. And the game, this is one I recommend. All right, guys, I hope you had some fun and you learned something more about broadside and a bit more about the Falklands. Yeah, I recommend you read it on the wiki. There are some good books on it. There's some fantastic ospreys as well that you can have a flick through. All right, well, good luck making your lists, and I'll see you for the next video.